Breaking earlier this morning, President Trump says Iran wants to make a deal, and he suggests they may be willing to give up their nuclear ambitions. Roll tape.
There's many points of agreement with Iran right now.
Many.
What, can you give us a
Many, like 15 points. 15 points.
Iran has said yes.
Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number one. That's number 1, 2, and 3. They will never have a nuclear weapon.
They've said yes to that?
They've agreed to that.
Retired four-star General Jack Keane joins me now. Sir, that sounds like a win. Is this pause, can you consider this pause a win?
Well, here's my thought on it. I mean, why did we get involved in this to begin with? And we did because after the 12-day war, we realized that the Iranian regime, as opposed to having a military setback and learning from that, they doubled down. They began in earnest to recover their ballistic missile program, to put more of it in deeply storage sites underneath the ground, to get China's assistance, explode their drone development program, and went to 2 new sites to develop their nuclear program. And they knew that they had some enriched uranium that was not taken down by a result of the attacks on the 3 sites where that stuff is buried and the centrifuges are destroyed. So and then they started to funnel money through a different source than they usually did in terms of banks, etc., to their proxies. So their behavior did not change one bit. And that brought Netanyahu and Trump together saying that we have got to change this regime, and the only way we're going to change it is not through negotiations, because they lie and cheat and promise things they never deliver, is we got to take all this capability away from them. So we're on the cusp of doing that. We're several weeks in, 3 weeks in, probably a few more to go, to finish just that. And are the Iranians likely interested in getting us to stop prematurely and not finish it completely and using it as a bargaining chip? Well, we'll open up the Straits of Hormuz for you, and we'll promise not to ever develop a nuclear weapon. And you can come and check on us and make sure we're not doing that, or other promises that they will make. I see that as empty promises dealing with a regime that is only trying to do one thing here: survive. They believe they win if they survive, and they will come back again and use the Straits of Hormuz as a bargaining chip and leverage that compel the region and the United States to their will. I don't see this president falling into that trap. He knows full well where we are militarily. He knows we're about to accomplish all of our objectives. He knows that the Iranians would love us to stop, and using the Straits of Hormuz as the key bargaining chip. We're going to take down the Straits of Hormuz and open it up. We're just a week or so away from just doing that. And the president is well knows we have a detailed plan to do that. We knew that they would likely do it. We thought they would probably do it sooner, but they did it. And that is one of the conditions we're adapting to. The other condition we're adapting to is longer range ballistic missiles than we thought they had. And we're going to have to take them all down to make sure that doesn't get used again. This is us adapting to the military situation, condition-based. And obviously, Iranian has a vote, and they're voting here. We got to face the reality of what we're really dealing with at the end of the day here, Stuart. Iran cannot be trusted to make a deal. If this is about terms of surrender, I get it. And somebody's willing to work with us, no longer the hardliners. But I suspect the person that they're talking to, from what I understand who he is, I'm not going to announce it here, that's the administration's business, is not the moderate they think he is. So he's a hardliner just like the rest of them.
So this war is not won until the Straits of Hormuz are open and Iran's ability to enrich uranium or move its uranium is ended, and the missiles and the drones stop. All those conditions have to be met before we've won the war, and we cannot just say that yet. Is that accurate?
Yeah, you're absolutely 100% correct about that. But we're well on our path to doing it. And when you talk to the Israelis and talk to CENTCOM, you know, the guys that are running the U.S. part of the war, they are very positive. And for me, my discussions with them in the last 24 hours in terms of where we are and what we're about to achieve. And so I think we should stay on a military path. If the Iranians are willing to take a knee and actually talk about conditions around this regime and changing out the leadership and moving to new leaders that we can maybe work with in the future, that's another matter. But I suspect the Iranians are in this to make a deal they have no intention of fulfilling. Even if they gave up their enrichment, they're going to be right back to figuring out how they're going to do that and get to a nuclear weapon. Because they know a nuclear weapon guarantees the eternal preservation of the regime in their minds. That's why they've always wanted it. And obviously the second reason is to use it as a threat and blackmail against Israel and the countries in the region.
Well, last question. Do you think it's possible to eradicate their missile and drone program completely?
No. I don't think you can do that. But I think what you can achieve is eliminates enough of it, overwhelming amount of it, so they cannot sustain an effort against us. Could they harass here and there with a drone or with a missile in the future because there's some remaining? Yes. And we knew that going in. There's never been a military objective where we can take out everything completely. But the issue is, can they sustain an effort, which they are currently doing, even though it's diminished? That we want to take away from their ability to do that. And then they no longer have that capability if they can't sustain it. Yeah. And that is a sufficient military objective, Stuart.
General Jack Keane, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. We'll see you again real soon. Thank you.